Hey, Shalom. Double honor to the apostles of GreatMillStone. Honor to you brothers that be pushing the truth and sincerity. And all praises unto Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Okay, so I'm going to go into a little video, little economic studies, if you will. And I've done videos like this in the past. And brothers have done videos recently and in the past on similar topics, going into the similar stuff. And it's good to get into the economics. You really do find out how much of these devils, how much they use the economy as a means to enslave the masses. Okay, I believe it's one of the Rothschilds that had said, "Don't give me political control" or something like that, but the rather give me the control of the money. Because at the end of the day, people are always gonna use money. Okay, now you had different forms of systems before, the barter system, okay, gold, silver systems, and when you had the inception of the American dollar, you had a gold reserve, or more gold-backed currency in the dollar. What they quickly realized is people, as long as they can do the trades and get their goodies, their day-to-day goodies, they're pretty much fickle. They'll go for anything. So they replaced the gold-backed system what you have right now, which is currency. And the elder Yashawamba did a video going into how an aspect of that currency, how it's used in terms of fractional reserve banking. So you make a bank deposit, well, they're only liable to keep a certain percentage of that bank deposit as security. The rest is then given away as under the guise of fractional reserve banking, which is total wickedness. Okay, that's totally wicked. But as a result, you got it to where a lot of these people are in a huge amount of debt, because what do? Once you have that fractional reserve banking, well, the fraction that's kept, well, that's kept in store, but the rest is invested, and it's invested in terms of loans. Okay, so you got it to where these near to zero central bank loan numbers allow it for people to what? To borrow money, because there's a thing in business. You gotta have money to make money. Okay, so how do these people get money? Well, they gotta loan and borrow money, innit? And that's how a lot of these people get into debt. Okay, so this is from Zero Hedge. It says, "How the elite dominate the world, part 1. Okay, debt as a tool of enslavement." And I like that, because we've been saying these kind of things for a long time. That goes to show you that Isaiah the 47th chapter is in full effect, where if the scripture says, how the nakedness of Babylon, and we know Babylon through the book of Psalms. Okay, the modern day Babylon is Edom, which is America. Okay, and that's the whore that's spoken about also within the book of Revelations, the 17th chapter, how that this whore was going to sit up on top of the beast, which is NATO. Okay, and they was going to devour the earth. And one of the major teeth that they use in devouring the earth is this money system, man. Okay, so it says throughout human history, those in the ruling class have found various ways to force those underneath them to work for their economic benefit. Okay, but in our days and age, we're willingly enslaving ourselves. Why? Because you want to buy a house or some shit like that, or you want to start up a business, you're gonna have to borrow some money to do that. That's just a fact. Okay, so you might put out down a down payment, but more cases than others, you're putting down a down payment to get into some more debt. Now, how crazy is that? And the craziest thing about that, the down payment's probably gonna cover the whole intrinsic value of that property, but you gotta pay more money than the bricks and mortar is worth to survive. Okay, to put a roof over your head. Okay, that's why it's called a death note, a mortgage. So it says, but in our days, we are willingly enslaving ourselves. It says the borrower is servant to the lender, and that's in the scriptures too, because you're subject to making those payments back. All right. It says more debt in our world. Right. It says there has never been more debt in our world than there is right now. Okay. According to the Institute of International Finance, global debt has hit $217 trillion mark. Although other estimates would put the number far higher. And of course, everyone knows our planet is drowning in debt. Okay, so if you take America as a microcosm of this particular issue, then what you quickly realize is the national debt with America in question as a microcosm is far greater than the GDP. That is to say, you're borrowing and using up more than you make. That is to say, you ain't ever going to be able to pay that back. Or to put it more in elaborate terms, as the title of this, excuse me, I'm walking so the screen flips a little bit. But as the title of this video suggests, okay, how the elites use debt as a tool of enslavement. Because you're subject to those payments and you never pay those payments back, you're a slave to the system, but ultimately slave to the elite banking families. All right, so let's carry on with this. It says, this goes, of course, everyone knows that our planet is drowning in debt. But most people never stop to consider that who owns all of that debt. And that's the important thing, because they've just mentioned to you a quote right out of the Bible, okay, in that the borrower is subject to the lender, the servant to the lender is a slave to the lender, right? That's a direct quote from scriptures. And what they're saying there is an important question. In that, if you got all of this debt floating around, 217 trillion, America's a microcosm with higher debt than it's got a higher GDP, so you can't pay it back. All right, even if all your income went to taxes, you still won't pay it back. That's what GDP means. That's what a higher debt than GDP means. Okay, but the most important question is, who owns this debt? And that's what these geezers are getting into. It says this. Let's carry on here. It says, what we got here? It says, okay. So it says this unprecedented debt bubble, okay, represents the greatest transfer of wealth in human history. And it says those that are being enriched are extremely wealthy, elitists at the very, very top of the food chain. That's what they speak about, the 1%. And he goes on to say, it says, okay, so this is the next paragraph. So it says, every year the gap between the planet's ultra rich and poor becomes greater, right? And greater. It says this is something that I've written about frequently, and that financialization of the global economy is playing a major role in this trend. So the entire global financial system is based on debt. That's important. That's why it's basically based on slavery, because you, as it says, you're subject to making those payments. All right. So let's see if we can pull up a little bit. I can't remember if they got any more meaty points in there. Okay. Right. So let's just hit some of these subheadings, and pretty much the points really made in most of the stuff I've said, but some of these subheaders might go into some other stuff that could be pertinent. So it says, all right, it starts at a very early age. We greatly encourage our young people to go to college, and we tell them not to even worry about how much it will cost. And that's one of the key pillars of this enslavement by way of debt. Okay, you get a bachelor's, master's, and if you're an idiot, if you're a 3-tier idiot, you get a doctorate. And in any field of understanding, in any field of knowledge, any field of a facet of work, what you find out is, even though you got a PhD or a master's or a doctorate or bachelor's rather more, you find out is you get retrained at a job. They'll put you on a certain amount of retraining. Okay, so you might have all these degrees and so on and so forth, but the business functions as its own entity, right, independent of any college degree. unless of course they've put together that collegiate studies. So for instance, if you have a massive company like, I don't know, Jaguar or something, Jaguar might say, okay, let's go to Warwick University and we need to work on this next engine. And you might be in that particular field of work, but the vast majority of your studies are not going to be catered to what you need for those for that job. That's why in the olden times, your father will work with you on a particular trade, and you'll just be a bad dude at that trade for the rest of your life. Okay, but in going to college and going to university, you get acclimatized to this debt system. You get acclimatized to borrowing money, and by the time you leave college, you're already 60 grand in debt. You're gonna buy a house, so you save up a little bit of money on your so-called job and that, but not to pay off the debt that you had initially, but to get some more debt in buying a house. And if you're an even bigger fool, you get yourself married, you got more debt. So the time you're in your mid-30s, man, you could easily be in 100K's worth of debt, negative, not positive, negative. But you walk proud though, right? Okay, we'll go on to the next subtopic. So it says, in order to get around in society, virtually all of us need at least one vehicle. Auto loans are becoming very easy to get these days. Okay, so you're walking around with a car, you're gonna, show up, stunt to the ladies and that. You'll get yourself a vehicle. You ain't gonna get no regular vehicle now though, are you? You can get the best vehicle that you can get. And that means you're gonna pay up top dollar, man. And the way they set up this whole, 3 years ago, I thought people were buying these cars outright, man. Okay, but what you do is you go to a car dealer. Okay, you pay them off whatever it's going to pay off, but that money you got, you had an auto loan from the bank. Okay, but again, all of this debt's mounting up, but who really owns this debt? Right? It's your masters, your real masters, that be in the elite banker families, man. The Rothschilds. Okay, they own all of that debt. Okay, so let's carry on. Let's see if we can get some more points. Right, so if you own your own home, right, I mentioned this as before. It says that is going to mean even more debt. It says in old days, mortgages were only 10 years in length, but now they're 30 years. So what does that suggest? Right, so if it was 10 years, okay, so relative to your pay packet, and you're clearing that thing in 10 years, that means if it's gone 30 years, man, it's far exceeding the value of what it used to be back in the day. The craziest thing is, we're still talking about the same area, still talking about the same bricks and mortar, still the same house, but you're paying 3 times as much for it because it's taking you 3 times as long, and possibly even more, because really what you have to realize is the value of any currency out here has gone down multifold. So people are getting paid more, but actually having less money, if that makes sense. If you've got an economic mind, you understand what that statement means. Okay, that means to say there's been a vast devaluation of the currency. So you might have thousands and thousands of pounds you get paid yearly, but the amount that actually gets you is not all that much. Okay, I remember I've read certain stories where he was like, if you had £10, then that means that's £10 sterling. Man, you was good for a hell of a long time, man. Maybe a couple of years, all right? And now you got £10 these days sterling. You might not even make it to the end of lunch, man. All right, especially out there in London. God damn. Okay, so let's carry on. It says credit cards. That is even more insidious. Now this credit card thing, that's like the greatest demon ever, because that changes how your psychology, how your mind works in terms of how you access money. Okay, so now you don't access money by way of saving or waiting for a paycheck. You just you spend inconspicuously. Okay, you just spend what you want to spend, because why? Because you get a credit card, you can pay it off later. So that changes your whole psychology of your mind. If you ever get to meet someone who's been in credit card debt, man, they'll tell you the same thing. That credit card is like the devil on a piece of plastic. And that's because he is the devil on a piece of plastic. And they took your soul, but you thought you had to sign a waiver, but you had to sign a contract to sell yourself. Nah, it was easier than that. See, the devil done worked out how to get your soul. He done worked out how to make you, he's a perpetual worker. He's a perpetual slave. He gave you the goodies. You didn't consider the ultimate end of it, okay, which was a lifetime's worth of debt. And now you're stuck in a system, right? A pit, okay, right? An enslavement, right? Working to pay that debt off. You're a slave, okay? So let's see if there are any more points on here. I'll call it quits in a second, right? As borrowers, we are servants of the lenders, and most of us don't even consciously understand what has happened, what has been done to us. It says, in part 1, I have focused on individual debt obligations, but tomorrow, in part 2, I'm going to talk about how the government debt, right, and corporately enslaves us, and that'll be a good article to get. So when that thing is released, Lord's will, I'll do a part 2 to it. But hopefully, man, there's let's read this. I'll read this a little bit. So it says, so we spend so much time on the symptoms, but if we ever want permanent solutions, we need to start addressing the root of the problems. Debt is a tool of enslavement, and the fact humanity is now more than $200 trillion in debt should deeply alarm all of us. Okay, so that's what they're basically saying is you should be alarmed that these bankers have basically enslaved you by allowing you to have easy access to debt, easy access to cash. But it was negative cash. It was money that wasn't there before. All right, it put you in negative. So, I mean, hopefully that was of edification. You know, say double honest. I would say all praise unto Yahweh Hashem Yahshai. Double honest, the Apostle GreatMillStone. Honest brothers pushing this truth in sincerity. All right, shalom.